Ladies, gentlemen, and others, welcome back to Boz Comics. Man, I really didn't want to make a video today, but I'm just tired. I'm getting used to being back at work, and I had a really long meeting today with my team. It was oof. Oof. I'm not in trouble or anything. It's just I'm still working my way through training, and it was a lot, but I got a lot done. I had to fire up the wood stove. I live in a very old house. It's heated by a wood stove. I had to get that taken care of. That took quite a bit. One of the cats ran outside. I had to wrangle her. Then I finally had to get around to making my dinner. I had to, put in a lunch break that I didn't actually utilize. That was fun. The first time I've eaten all day was about 20 minutes ago, except for all those cups of coffee I was shotgunning to get through the day. And I get to do it all again tomorrow. I have to do, how can I put this? I have to do an audition of sorts with my supervisor tomorrow, so that she can see that I have picked up the tricks of the trade that I am supposed to have in order to do this job effectively. So if I suddenly have much more time and energy to make videos, it's because I got fired. No, I don't think that'll happen, but more videos like this if it does. Anyway, let's see. Final bit of housekeeping. I have decided that it is too early to make a Patreon, although some people, including my wife, have suggested it. What I have done instead, I think I would like at least 100 subs. Maybe even as much as 250 before I make a Patreon. I think it's too presumptuous otherwise. What I have done instead is included a link to Ko-fi, or Coffee. I think it's pronounced Ko-fi, Ko-fi, whatever. You know the thing. The coffee site with a K down below in the description. So if you would like to make a one-time $3 donation, I would be immensely grateful. It's just down there. You don't get anything for it. It's just a way to support my work if you enjoy this channel, and I would be very grateful. So if you wanna support me, coffee link down below. Many thanks in advance. But if you just want to watch these videos, leave a like, a comment, hit the subscribe button. That's still cool. All right, cool. We are 2.5 minutes in, and we're finally talking about the topic of the video. Man, I can't stand him these days, but I'm still channeling that old diversity in comics energy. Woohoo. Okay, so yesterday I talked about my thoughts on Nick Spencer's Spider-Man run so far. And I've also spoken about how I feel regarding Dan Slott, who was on the book for 10 plus years before Spencer came along, with very few breaks in between. I think actually Slott has now written he's written more issues of Spider-Man combined than any other writer, which if I could have one wish, it would be to write Spider-Man, the main title, write Amazing Spider-Man one day. If I could have another wish on top of that, it would be to be on the book long enough to surpass Dan Slott, because I'd like to see what it looks like when somebody who actually really loves the character more than they love Dr. fucking Octopus gets to run with the character for that long. Anyway, so let's talk about my perfect Spider-Man run, what that looks like, right? The closest for me, and I've spoken about this before, was, of course, JMS's Spider-Man run. But JMS, he got his run hampered a lot, I think. It's still, I think, the best run of all time. Perhaps followed by the original, with Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, of course. But, JMS for me was great. But there were a couple of things, he had to bring in... Not everybody likes the totem shit. I like the totem shit. I'm weird. But not everybody liked it at the time or still does. It's connected to that whole Order of the Web thing. The Order of the Web is trash. It needs to go away. But I like the idea of kind of mixing in that mysticism. I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. He also... Terrible villains, great plot lines. His character stuff was great, working in with MJ and Aunt May, all that was great. But everything to do with all his villains, I can't even remember what the fuck they're called. Was it the Shade? That was an original creation. I was not about that. Dr. Octopus, funnily enough, pops up in there. There was that, I can't remember what she's called, but there was like that like demonic spider being that like wanted to mate with Peter and then like bite his head off or whatever. That was some weird shit. I didn't really care for her either. All those little things. And then of course there was one more day at the very end of everything. So, everything fell to shit. Although it's kind of generally understood that none of that was really JMS's fault. Still, villains were subpar. Everything to do with the other and all that shit. That was a bit hit or miss. And I really don't think a lot of the relationship stuff went far enough. But I really did get the vibe that, like, it was a grown-up Spider-Man, at least in his late 20s, early 30s, really getting involved in his neighborhood and really making a difference, but dealing with real problems in a very adult way. Right. So I think that's one of the first things, right? I think the obvious bit is, of course, I would love to see the marriage between Pete and Mary Jane restored. I've made that very clear. That is my Spider-Man. My Spider-Man is married. So fix it, please. Fix it, please. Fix it, please. Holy shit. I'm married. I'd like my favorite superhero to be married again. Whoever that fucking dumbass was that was like, if the superhero gets married, nobody will be able to relate to it. I was able to relate to it when I was fucking 12, you dumb fuck. What's your excuse? I have feelings. I'm sorry. Anyway. So fix the marriage. God damn it. Besides that, the jokes. Oh my God. Nick Spencer is better about this, but he still falls into a similar trap that a lot of other writers, even before Dan Slott, would fall into. See, everybody knows that Spider-Man is the jokester. But I think what a lot of people fuck up is that he's not constantly joking. He's not Deadpool. He's not incapable of being serious. In fact, he could be very serious more often than not, because he is a character, even as an adult, filled with angst and pathos. He's a real person, goddammit. Well, you know what I mean. He's not you understand what I fucking mean, don't pedantic. Anyway, the jokes, he interacts with other members of the fucking superhero community. Oh God, if you guys can hear that those police sirens, I didn't do it. I wonder if there was another shooting in my neighborhood. Woo. Anyway, man, a slice of city life. Anyway, this is the thing. He's constantly joking around, even with members of the superhero community. Constantly. Oh my God, it's so fucking bad. Just fucking won't shut up. He gets on everyone's nerves. Like, oh my God, he's so aggravating. Oh, he doesn't take anything seriously. He's so childish. Everything is a joke. That never used to be his reputation. For decades. But I think we just kind of decided, like, yeah, he's like non-violent Deadpool, right? He's just gonna make jokes constantly. No, holy fuck. It has long been established that Peter Parker, outside a costume, is just kind of a pretty average guy. Like, in terms of his demeanor, he's maybe a little awkward and neurotic, because most, highly intelligent people are, because they don't see the world in exactly the same way. He sometimes gets overly verbose. He gets, really enthusiastic about things that matter to him. He talks a lot, and he has like really high energy more often than not. But he's not like some, the constant joking is not really a thing outside of the costume. And then in the costume, holy shit, the joking is a defense mechanism. It's something he does when fighting villains to keep himself from losing his shit, and then on top of it, also to keep his villains off their game. He's not just constantly cracking jokes forever. It's a tool to help him and to affect them. Oh my God. He should not be cracking jokes so constantly that other superheroes are fed up with him and like don't want to have anything to do with him. That's not how he operates. It generally has not been throughout his fucking history, okay? The man is he's a grown-ass man, all right? Like, he is capable of being serious for 5 seconds. But I think much like so many writers want him to be unmarried forever, if not completely divorced from any long-term relationship of any kind, so many of them seem to want him to be a child, literally and figuratively. So the humor needs to be tightened up. Bring back more serious Spider-Man who just throws out some really fucking funny one-liners to to get at the bad guys and to keep himself sane, because that's where the humor should be at, Also, he should be genuinely funny. That's another thing, just as a quick aside. Like, when he makes jokes, they should be funny. They should be witty. This whole motif of, like, Peter inside or outside of the costume making a joke, and then people are like, oh, groan, oh, cringe. No, fuck off. He's funny. He should be genuinely funny. He should not be making people cringe. Like, his humor is not lame. His humor is supposed to be really witty and snappy, and maybe it goes over people's heads because they're not as smart as him. That's Spider-Man's humor, you fucking troglodytes. Okay. So far, right? What do we got? Fix the marriage, fix the humor. Now, let's talk about tone. What does my ideal Spider-Man run look like in terms of tone? I'm going to kind of wrap up like tone, villains, and themes, like kind of all in one. We're going to talk about it all in one big ball of webbing, you might say. So, first of all, tone, I think a Spider-Man book should be a little bit on the darker side. Peter, like, should be dealing with science, right? Like, it should be a very science fiction themed book. I think that, some people are like, oh, Spider-Man needs to be a street level hero. What does that even mean? That word gets so nebulous, right? Like, we talk about, like, fucking, like, Daredevil being a street level hero, but Daredevil's fought literal armies and, like, fucking immortal ninjas. Okay? Daredevil was an Asgardian god for 5 fucking seconds. Okay? Daredevil turned into a literal demon with an army of evil warriors at his commands. Daredevil's like died and come back to life. Like, holy shit. Same with Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man has done some crazy shit. They love to. Spider-Man's a street level hero. Spider-Man had the power cosmic at one point, or not the power cosmic, or I think he did have the power cosmic for a bit. But whatever it is that gives Captain Universe their powers, the Ultra Force or whatever the fuck it is that, like, turns people into Captain Universe. He had that for a bit. Where he could, like, fly and, like, punch people into space. Like Spider-Man fought in, like, the Infinity War. Like, I mean, can we maybe stop with this whole fucking Spider-Man's a street level hero guy? But if you're gonna have him face crazy threats, I think they should be sci-fi based. Spider-Man should go back to primarily fighting people who turn themselves into, creepy, twisted, scientific experiments. We don't see enough of that in comic books anymore, right? Like, we need more people who turn themselves mad with super serums and then put on a scary goblin costume, right? We need more people who, like, fucking inject themselves and turn into like a pterodactyl, like firing laser turrets from its wingspan, right? Or just more people who, like, build a suit and, like, go and commit crimes and, they got, like, anti-gravity powers or whatever, shit like that, wannabe Iron Man knockoffs, right? Fucking, like, that's the kind of shit that, like, Spider-Man should be fighting, right? All this Order of the Web stuff needs to fuck out of here, like, fighting these like fucking weird, like, multi-dimensional beings, not because he's not capable of doing it. I don't care about the level of the threat. I care about the themes of the threats. That is, like, way outside of his wheelhouse, right? Like, Peter is all about responsibility and science. And I think that any villains Peter is facing that are not leaning heavily into those themes of responsibility or scientific advancement or ingenuity, like, that's missing the points. Okay, we have lost the plot of the character. We need to get it back, boys. So yeah, there was actually a cool character. One of the original characters I liked in Straczynski's run was there was this villain that was, like, I think his thing was he called Gravedigger or something? And he was like the decomposed body parts of several mobsters kind of coalesced back together through radiation or something. Really weird and stupid and made up science, of course. But no, but it was cool. It was a cool idea. It was fun. It was a lot cooler than fucking Mortal One. Jesus. But shit like that, you know. I also, as an aside, I think that, you know, having Peter be like a freelance photographer again, just as like a side hustle, would be really cool. But it should be a side hustle on top of something else. Like the idea of him running his own startup company. I fucking hated that whole business in Slots Run where, you know, Peter, you know, seizes upon what Doc Ock did with his life while Doc Ock, you know, was in the driver's seat, you know, and takes the doctorate that he did not earn and goes on to fucking, you know, run Parker Industries directly into the ground because I think that fucking Dan Slott hates Peter Parker. But you know, Nick Spencer seemed to kind of have half the right idea because he had Peter's like doctorate undone like as soon as he took everything over. And kind of righted the ship. And Peter had that moment of like, oh shit, that was like really irresponsible of me. I have to do better. It's almost like Nick Spencer understands the character better than Dan Slott did. See what did I fucking say? Themes of science, you know, science and like science fiction and responsibility chief among them. It's the core tenet of the character, right? Great power, great responsibility. Really, you could just distill it down to that fucking adage, right? Great power comes great responsibility. If whatever you're doing in the book, if it's not at least tangentially drawing on that idea, you have failed the character. So, like Peter should have some kind of startup. Like, even if it's just making like cool tech to like make people's lives better, like fun gadgets or something. It doesn't have to be like on the level of like Reed Richards or whatever, but have him building like cool doodads to just try to patent to just make people's lives better. Like, that would be cool. You know, if you're telling me that with all his smarts, he can't draw up something worthy of investment to get him off the ground all by his lonesome, you're fucking out of your mind. Now, I don't think that Peter should be Iron Man. That was another horrible thing that Dan Slott did that I try not to think about. Okay, the whole like Spider-Man becoming this like multinational fucking debonair like suit, like three-piece suit wearing like tech mogul. No, that's fucking stupid. Not because he doesn't have the capability to do that, but because it doesn't suit his personality, right? He should be all about like helping people, making people's lives better, but on a smaller scale. You know, he could like choose to go bigger, but like he stays more involved and more down to earth because he doesn't want to be a Tony Stark. He doesn't want to be a Reed Richards. Both of those people are fucking assholes and nobody should want to be them apart from their gargantuan stacks of cash. So I like this idea of him like just doing smaller scale like science, you know, STEM work, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I'd like to see more of that. I think that would suit the character much better. I think it'd be really cool. I think there's lots to tap there, you know, kind of being the everyman's like basement scientist, you know. And you could tap so much drama from that, right? Like him trying to kind of rebuild a new like version of Parker Industries, you know, Parker Solutions, Parker Tech, and fucking kind of trying to build out from there, you know, reestablish his scientific reputation, you know, dealing with people that try to cannibalize his company, you know, but this time it's just him, and it's him like. Well, not just him, like he could bring on other people, but I mean like it's all him, like he builds it with his own two hands and smarts. He doesn't like have Dr. fucking Octopus giving him a jump start while his mind is banished to the ether. You know, I think that would make a huge difference. So we talked about how, you know, like the villain should draw on those themes. I think like Peter should be a scientist again, and while maybe like fucking making some bread on the side with the photography because it's classic and fun, and we still use freelance photographers, even though everyone's got a fucking camera on their phone and makes them think they're a photographer. I'm not bitter or anything. But that would be really cool. I also think there should be we should really like delve into the horror element. Okay, because we talked about how we really need to fix Spider-Man's humor and make it less fucking egregious. Having more like sci-fi horror elements, I think, would be a huge boon to the book. I think if we make it dark as shit while also having Spider-Man crack wise as that coping mechanism, and weapon in his arsenal, I think you could juxtapose those two things like so much better. Like you ratchet up the darkness while also ratcheting up Spidey's, I should say tightening up his wit and his repartee. I think that would be so much better. Holy shit. You just get like these really bleak, like dark and twisty, like Junji Ito-esque, like, science fiction horror juxtaposed with like a really like witty, funny man, cutting him down with words while bouncing around like a high powered jumping bean. I don't know. I think that could be like really fucking cool. So yeah, I mean, sci-fi horror, understand the themes of Spider-Man and plan accordingly. Fix his relationships. Holy shit, what is going on with Aunt May? Or let Aunt May fucking die. Honestly, if you fucking ask me to write Spider-Man, the first thing I would want permission to do is kill Aunt May. Not because I have any ill will towards Aunt May. I think she's great, but I think that, for me, that would be my way of trying to finally force Pete to grow up again. I would probably want to kill her off. Because I would also understand, this is cynical as fuck, even if I did an amazing story, which gets harder and harder to do because they've killed her off twice already. But even if I wrote an amazing story with her, I know that eventually some other writer would come after me and bring her back. But in order to kind of grow Peter up and transition him once forth into manhood, I would probably want to kill Aunt May right away. Maybe at the end of the first story arc, just as like a big gut punch, I would have her, but I would fucking, I would have her death mean something. I would let them say goodbye. I'd probably have her die like a normal person, I wouldn't have her die to some supervillain. It would be like a Dawn Summers thing from Buffy, I'm not actually that familiar with Buffy, but I know Buffy's mom's death was a big thing for fans at the time, because while all that crazy shit was going on, then her mom just dies of like an aneurysm or something. And I know that was like really powerful. I think a lot could be said there as well, not having her fake die due to Norman Osborn's bullshit machinations that never ends, not having her die to some sniper's bullet fucking, that was meant for Peter and then leads him to run off and do dumb shit like make deals with the devil. Just have her die because she's fucking old and it's time for her to go. And really that's there's a reason that parents and mentors tend to die so much in fiction. It's because a hero, to truly grow, they need their safety net to be left behind. There's nothing wrong with having like a supporting cast. A supporting cast is often essential to a great story. And Peter has the supporting cast. It would be great to see them being used more. But yeah, May would need to go. I also think we need to bring Felicia back, make her a regular part of the book again. Holy shit, that was so adorable. I would also like to fucking explore this idea that maybe she's falling back in love with him, and maybe there's a little bit of a love triangle between him and Mary Jane and Felicia. I still want him to end up with Mary Jane, but I think we could get some cool relationship drama out of it, seeing because I don't think we've ever done that. I don't think we've ever had we had the two of them being catty, right, back in the day. But I think it would be kind of cool to see that idea explored. We touched on it very briefly where Felicia started kind of losing her shit a little bit because once Peter told her who he was, her memories of their time together started coming back, and she really kind of realized what she fucked up and lost out on, and started making her pretty aggro, which is part of how they justify her fucking off to have her own solo series. Bring her back. I want to see more of that drama. That's the kind of relationship drama that interests me. I want to see like how that's affecting her. Maybe it's driving her to be more of a better person. They're kind of doing that in Daredevil right now with Elektra. But yeah, make her like part of the regular cast again, especially since it looks like they might have just killed Carly Cooper. There's a slot open, guys. But yeah, like get Friends back in there. You know, maybe like fucking Randy Robertson. Where the fuck has he been? You know, or even like do more shit with Fred Myers, the Boomerang. You know, there was so much that Spencer kind of started with, and I think he just like ran out of room for other characters that he's like established in his run thus far. Like all that shit would need to be cleaned up. Get your themes tighter, fix the jokes, and do something about the goddamn marriage. Yeah, I guess that's it. This video is like fucking like almost half an hour long, and I'm sure most of you are only gonna watch the first 5 minutes. But anyway, that's what I've got so far. Like, that's kind of my perfect Spider-Man run. You know, treat him like the big deal hero that he is while keeping him grounded at the same time. Incorporate a good supporting cast. Fix what's broken. Don't fix what ain't. If you guys have any thoughts about what your perfect Spider-Man run might look like, you know, leave them down below. If you're not really a fan of Spider-Man, I don't know why you watched this video for fucking 30 minutes, but you know, if such is the case, tell me what would appeal to you in a Spider-Man comic book. What would you like to see? What would bring you in on the character? Yeah, give me your thoughts and your opinions down below. And again, if you want to support this channel, please consider buying me a coffee at the link down below. $3. I'd really appreciate it. It would make me and my wife very happy. All right. Take care of yourselves. I will see you soon. Hopefully tomorrow. Tomorrow is New Comic Book Day. We'll see how it all shakes out. All right, guys. Until then, take care.